mean, to be honest, I haven't talked about it a lot at work, like for a lot of reasons. But you know,
mostly because you're embarrassed that you're friends with me.
Well,
who can blame you? I mean, you know.
I was trying to think of something clever to say, but
I'll take care of that.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Screenwoven, your hub for all things story. I'm Chris. This is Daniel.
All things stories.
All right, man. Whatever. All things stories.
If it's just all things story, you got to specify the story. What story?
Superman today.
That's right. That's good talk.
And a little surprise thrown in there, but we'll get to that in a second. Welcome to episode 15.
16, right?
15. This is a big boy one. This is a little bit of a milestone.
That's right.
You know, the 5s and the 10s, those are the milestones. I don't know who decided that.
I don't know either, but it makes a lot of sense. I don't even know if anyone decided it. I think everyone just kind of, this convention just naturally formed. We were like, 5s just make sense.
They just do.
Yeah.
But anyway, obviously, we uploaded a little short right as we were coming out of the theater the other day from having seen Superman for the first time, which for Daniel was the only time, and I saw it one more time that night. So we have now sat with it for almost a week, a day over a week.
Yeah.
So 8 days.
8 days a week.
And I think we've both been kind of itching to discuss it. We purposely kept after movie talk very brief and short and not detailed. So we really don't even know each other's like in-depth nitpicks or praises or this or that. Like we don't know much about how each of us felt coming out of it. So this is going to be a fun conversation, I think. Probably going to both surprise each other a couple times.
You've already surprised me by saying that there's another surprise other than Superman.
Yes. So before we jump into the main discussion for the day, for those who don't know, which is probably most of you, because I feel like the few repeat listeners we have don't really know us that well.
Well, they're us.
Well, that's fair. Okay. Well, then we know.
Yeah.
So surprise to us. No. By the way, shout out to my brother. He started listening to the podcast, and he told me he said, "When does the new episode come out?" I said, "Well, we're recording our Superman review on Saturday." He goes, "Good. I am now a fan."
Oh, sweet.
And I want a new episode.
That's great.
So
hey,
I
listen,
appreciate that.
If you're out there too and you're not related to us and you want more episodes, we're doing everything we can to get them out. We would like to do this once a week, but right now with our schedules and with work and stuff
and kids,
so what if you want to help us get to that point, the best thing to do is just share it with people. Share it with people share it on social media, just help us get the word out, because once we get to a certain level, we can maybe talk about sponsorships, and then we can do this more often.
It can become more of a reality to do it more frequently.
Yeah.
And you could find us pretty much everywhere. Obviously, YouTube, Spotify, probably where you're listening to it right now. I did set us up a TikTok that I'm working on getting some more stuff on it. That's been a little bit of a pain, but it's a work in progress. I
will say, we are less active on social media right now. You can find us everywhere. But the best way to get in touch with us is probably our email or comment on Spotify and YouTube.
Yep. So that aside, for those of you who don't know, my esteemed co-host here is an author also.
Oh. I am?
Well, yeah, by definition. No, he is, and he's a published author, indie author. I mean, but he's written many books that he's put out for consumer consumption. I feel like that was a redundant phrase, but I said it. We're gonna stick with it.
That's not redundant at all.
I started reading. He sent me his newest one, The Scarlet. Oh wait, the Chosen Knight. Why does it say Scarlet on? Oh, the Scarlet Legend is the series.
Yeah.
Okay. The Chosen Knight is the
first book.
Gotcha. Okay. I was like, wait a minute, hang on. And if he'll allow me the opportunity, in reading it the other day, I made a note because I've been keeping little notes just to talk to him. He didn't even really know I started it, but
I'm a little terrified right now.
Where he, for the first time, the main characters are walking into their village. It's pretty early in the book, and just the description that you wrote for the village, I was like, oh my gosh, that is, first of all, it was so descriptive. It was, I mean, you could like picture it in your head, and then the word choice was awesome. So if you'll allow me to read a brief excerpt from your book for our listeners,
Sure.
And then we'll jump into Superman. But this is from chapter 5 of his newest book. So it says, dread hung over them as they trudged into Rustboro, Angerton's forgotten corner. Here, the amber glow of echo-glow-powered street lamps was scarce, barely piercing the gloom that clung to the narrow, twisting alleys. Ramshackle buildings leaned against each other like weary old men, their windows dark and often boarded up. The cobblestones beneath their feet were cracked and uneven, nothing like the smooth streets of the city center. Instead of echo-glow power and buzzing gadgets, here the air filled with creaking shutters and scurrying rodents. It's just so atmospheric. I wish we could just, in post, we might have to put a little applause right there. Like, I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So
yeah,
AI is an amazing tool.
Don't even.
No, dude, AI wrote most of that. Now here's the caveat, because people are going to be like, "What, you use AI?" Like, if you're not using AI, traditional published authors will submit their first draft and stuff, and then they will get developmental and copy editors to send them notes back and say what you need to fix.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what AI does for me. So it's not like writing the book for me.
Right. It's editing what you've written.
Yeah like that's how I actually, because a lot of people think AI is going to replace writers. I actually think it's going to replace
editors.
It's going to replace editors and ghostwriters. I think those are the two things that it's actually going to replace. But actual authors, where you're bringing your ideas into story, I think it's going to just help them not have to pay for, because developmental, line, and copy editing, you're talking about thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
When you're not really making any money on it when you start out. So yeah, it's been super helpful, because I will write descriptions out and then I'll send it to it and be like, what should change here, and it'll give me like suggestions, and then so I'll go. It's really no different than a traditional published author going back and forth with an editor.
Fair enough. But yeah, I love that. So I wanted to let you know. I'm further in the book than that now, but that was something I wanted to touch on with you. So from there, unless you have any other little additive notes, we can jump right on into Superman. Okay, we'll jump right on into Superman. So
another thing written by AI, by the way. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
What a hole.
So, Superman, the movie, for those of you who've not somehow heard of it, especially if you're listening to this podcast, that is a miracle. You must be skipping just the right parts. Newest movie from DC. It is the kind of official start to the new DC extended cinematic universe, the equivalent to their MCU equivalent. New Superman, Henry Cavill is out. I mean, this is all old news, but I'm just kind of giving the intro here. So we've got David Corenswet as Superman, Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor.
Very strange name. I mean,
yeah, it's
Corenswet.
Corenswet.
It doesn't really roll off the tongue.
No. And I always feel like I'm saying it wrong because it doesn't, but I'm pretty sure that is how you say it.
Yeah, I think it is. Like, there's a lot of celebrities out there who like either change their name or they use their middle name as their last name because it doesn't flow as well.
Yeah.
And
so it makes you wonder what this guy's middle name is.
Yeah.
It's got to be like
maybe that
terrorist.
Maybe that is his middle name.
David Terrorist just doesn't roll. I'd rather go Corenswet.
That's true.
Than David Hairy Toes. Like, it's got to be something awful.
That's kind of...
Or like Daniel, like if it's David Daniel. See, I got one on you now.
Yeah, you did get one.
It wasn't good, but I got you.
You did get me. I appreciate you trying. I deserve the jabs.
I appreciate even in my jab, I get condescended. So it's a good try. It's a good try. All right, get back to what you're good at. Get back to the script I wrote you with AI.
You're the smart one. I'm the roaster. Okay.
I don't know about the smart one, but I appreciate it. So yeah, this is it's James Gunn's DC, right? Everyone knows this. It's the new chapter. Okay, this thing's not cooperating with me today. I might take it off, but
your shirt? No.
Yeah, it's just really bugging me. It's so constrictive.
Different podcast, man.
Raymond. Yeah, we all know this. It's James Gunn's new vision for the DC. It's much more colorful. It's much more bright. It's much more comic booky, wacky, sci-fi, yada 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 yada. All the things you know. So yeah, we went and saw it opening day, opening weekend, what have you, and we have thoughts. So from there, how do you want to tackle this? Do you want to go like kind of thought by thought? Do you want to try and recollect the movie and kind of go from beginning to end and talk as we go? How do you want to do it?
Let's do this. Let's each share what we loved about the movie first. And
like
then,
one favorite thing, or like
no, like just keep talking about what we loved about it.
Okay.
And we'll talk about our nitpicks after that.
Okay.
What do you think about that as a format?
I like it. So I think if we're talking things we loved, first and foremost, as a comic book fan, I loved the non-apologetic approach to this is a comic book movie.
Yes.
There is monsters. There's pocket dimensions. There's, hey, we work for a newspaper, but we're going to fly a spaceship around.
Yeah.
I loved it. I'll tell you another thing on that note. And I can't remember if we talked about this or not. But when the movie was first kind of being promoted, I don't even know if a trailer had come out yet. One of the first like still images that made its way around social media was of which by the way, spoilers, right? I mean, this is it's an in-depth 2-hour-long discussion about one movie.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
And by this point, if you're listening to this podcast, you've probably already seen the movie.
Yeah, well, that too. But like, for future reference, we're very rarely going to talk about a movie and not in-depth discuss. Like, that's kind of our whole thing.
Yeah, so, that's what we do.
Spoilers. So one of the first stills that went around and really gained some traction and got a lot of attention was from the scene where this is after Krypto gets taken and blah, blah, blah. And Superman flies into his apartment, and Lois is there.
Oh, yeah.
The scene where she makes him hot cocoa and all that. It was the image of him sitting in the chair, her kind of sitting on that little coffee table, leaned in towards each other, and in the background you see like a monster.
Mm-hmm.
And all the comments on it were like, "Wow, this is the Superman y'all wanted. He's just letting a monster attack the city while he flirts with Lois Lane." And in the movie, what you come to know is that the Justice Gang,
loved that too.
Green Lantern, Mr. Terrific, and Hawkgirl are actually out there fighting that monster. And she specifically asks him, like, do you need to go like handle that? Were you helping them? Or he's like, no, that's just some, what do you call it? Like an interdimensional imp.
Yeah.
He's like, they got it.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I thought that was awesome because look, one thing we have discussed at length on this podcast, at least in talking about this movie, has been the fact that people are so mad about it.
Yeah, I know.
And the thing is, I know you're never going to please everyone, But what's one thing people have been begging for from the MCU? For the world to feel a little more lived in, a little less sterile. It's a connected universe. How are we never seeing other crimes being stopped or heroes doing things? And James Gunn gave us that in the first movie. Like, it's really a scene about Lois and Clark, really, Superman, but whatever, connecting and having kind of a moment. And you find out later she was going to dump him there, but it was an emotional moment. But in the background, you're seeing a whole super fight going that really is not part of the movie. It never gets brought up again. And I kind of like that.
I loved it. Yeah.
It made me feel like, oh my gosh, like the world is alive. Like people don't just like freeze in their spot when he's not on the scene. Like I loved that.
And on that note, it was really funny. And we were both laughing because like, they're like having this deep moment, and then you just see the Green Lantern's big green stick just go boom in the background again. And like, but we'll probably talk about this more, but like there were several moments that were really funny in that movie, and the theater we were in like was not laughing at all.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was so weird. I was like, that was funny. What
weird,
am I missing?
Which is weird to me because apparently a lot of people, I was talking to a guy at work about this, apparently a lot of people came out of it saying it was like a comedy, which I also didn't get. No. It had funny moments, but I would not call it a comedy.
Yeah, it was less comedic than Guardians of the Galaxy, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, comparable, but still less comedic.
Comparable more in style than anything, but that's just because it's James Gunn.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I wouldn't say the tone was comparable at all, really. I think Guardians is intentionally a little more silly.
Yeah, yeah.
Just by the nature of who the Guardians are.
Yeah.
But, neither here nor there. Talking about things we loved, I love the unapologetic. This is a comic book movie. We're not holding back. It's colorful. It's campy. It's a little cheesy at times. It's weird. It's wacky. It's out of left field. I loved that.
Me too.
Loved it. And they never felt like they had to stop and explain it.
Yeah.
They never felt like that. Now, some people might attribute that to the fact that you learn at the very, very beginning of this movie, that metahumans have been around for like 300 years, and Superman's now been on Earth for 30, and for the last 3 years he's been like Superman, like he's actually come out to the public as Superman and he's fighting crime and blah blah blah. So you could attribute that maybe to the fact that over the last 3 years this world's just gotten accustomed to things like this, or it just might be that that's the universe that James Gunn wanted to create, and either way I'm good with it. I don't need the explanation of, well, he's been doing it for some years, so that's why. I don't even need that. I just like that it happened.
Yeah.
So I love that. What about you? While I kind of load up my next one, because I'm sure there's other things I could gush about. Actually, I know. But what's something you got?
I fully agree with what you said. Like that was a huge thing to take away from me, and it felt unique to DC.
Yes.
So that this did not. Ironically, it was a Marvel director. And it did not feel like it was trying to copy Marvel. I felt like the old DC movies were trying to copy. What they were trying to do, I felt like, was get the dark and grittiness of the Dark Knight and then try to make that into its own MCU type thing.
Yep.
And with this, it was just totally its own thing. Its own thing. The world has already been established. You got the Justice Gang, which I loved the Justice Gang. I love the whole dynamic between them.
Yeah.
And
I agree with
the fact that they're the Justice Gang when we know what's coming from that. I loved that part of it. It's already an established world. There's already all these different superheroes. They're not trying to do what Marvel spent years building up towards. They're just throwing you in the middle of it. And I totally loved that. At first I was going to have a nitpick that Superman was still too emotional for me, because he was a little more emotional. Even as the film went on, he reacted to things like more emotionally than I thought he would. But I'm going to actually rescind that and say, I think I actually liked that about him. I loved his character.
Yeah.
He was such, and I do have a little bit of nitpicks, but we'll get into those later. But
yeah, it was not a perfect movie.
No,
but I think we're going to start with love and move into the gripes.
Yeah, yeah,
and I like that. I think that's the way to do
it. He's such an endearing, lovable superhero, which is what Superman is supposed to be.
Thank you.
Like,
I can hug you right now.
As much as I loved Henry Cavill, like we talked about this before, Henry Cavill was a great Superman.
Superman.
He looks the part. But the constant stone face,
the direction and the script killed the hope for him.
Yeah. I agree. I still don't know where these Snyder fans are even coming from. Because they didn't show up at the box office for the movies. It's like now all of a sudden and it's like exploding everywhere I see on the internet. It's like Snyder's was the best. I'm like, nobody was ever saying that before. Yeah. Nobody was asking for more Snyder movies. Anyway, so
well, I mean, don't get me wrong. There were plenty of people that liked them,
a small niche of people.
But like even the ones that liked it, I'm shocked that they are so mad. I mean, I know some people personally that like I've talked to about this that really enjoyed the Snyder movies. That
I don't get that.
That still really were excited for this movie.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and I do get it because there were things that I liked about the Snyder movies. Zack Snyder is a phenomenal fight choreographer, like kind of fight. I guess he didn't choreograph it, but shooter of action. Like he's a great cinematographer. I'm not gonna say he's a great director, but he's a serviceable director. It just, I think there's certain things maybe he shouldn't touch, and Superman being what it is, I think that's just one of those things. Yeah. He would do great with Batman, I think, if he could stop having him kill people.
Yeah, I mean, like the warehouse fight scene is awesome,
phenomenal, until he grabs a assault rifle and blows a guy's fire tank up and kills him.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're gonna get on a tangent there.
This is kind of funny. I don't really want to take this into a tangent, but
we're going to.
Well, probably. That's how this podcast goes. I actually prefer superheroes that kill people. Like, I like the Punisher more than Daredevil. Now, I don't think he's going about it exactly the right way, but I don't like the idea that I just never kill. I'm like, well, sometimes it's kind of necessary, I mean, there's all kinds of movies that we love where people kill the bad guy and it ends up being the thing that saves the day,
Yeah.
It's an unfortunate thing. Sometimes people do things where it's like they're going to have to die for that.
Yeah.
But that's I don't know. I just, I understand why they write superhero movies that way, but so there's like Kingpin, for instance, in Daredevil season 3, his whole thing, and I loved that season, but his whole thing, that whole season was like, I can't kill Kingpin. I'm like, dude, why? He's like the most murderous, awful dude. If you just took him out, all your problems would go away and New York City would be safe. Secretly, he's probably thinking, but then they wouldn't need Daredevil. No, I'm just kidding.
But then there's no season 4.
Yeah. I don't know what that voice was.
It's a baby voice because he's whining.
Oh, okay, yeah. I just don't ever do it again.
I'm going to do it more now. That's my main voice. That's how I'm going to talk from now on.
I hate that. Anyway, all that to say, I think that the Superman that James Gunn directed, like he is the Boy Scout superhero. Like that was the term you used last podcast, and I think that's accurate. He was the Boy Scout superhero, Superman, that like I want to see in Superman. That's always been who I thought Superman was. He's the he takes people's criticisms hard because he cares so much
about people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's part of his flaw too.
Yes,
and it serves. It just so I understood who he was, what his motivations were, and what he wanted.
If you thought at all about the things that we've been talking about leading up to this movie, during or after the film, like if you kind of put 2 and 2 together, like with what you saw and what we talked about, I think what you'll have found is that, like I was telling you, the thing with Superman and why the Kryptonite thing is, I agree, with you, always been a little bit of like a crutch with him, and it's kind of we know where this is going kind of thing. I get that, but what I was trying to explain was it's because the real story, like the actual thing that matters with most Superman lines, is not him being so powerful and how powerful he is and this and how are we going to stop this powerful thing. It's the human part. And if you compare it to this movie, James Gunn nailed that perfectly because all of the like power-based scenes, all the like fighting stuff, it's fun, but it holds no like backbone to the movie. All of the important parts of the movie were slower, calmer, talking scenes with people. Whether it was with him talking to Lex when he was captured, or when he was having those two different like kind of heart to hearts with Lois, one at her apartment, one at his. Lois going to confront the Justice Gang, and I mean those were the moment. Like the talking was the important part.
Yeah. I understand that, and we'll talk about Kryptonite later. I completely understand that. That's one of the reasons why I don't like Kryptonite, because I think it kind of undercuts that stuff. It makes it... Now, we'll go into detail on this later. I think they handled it fairly decently in this movie, but
anyway, so...
Oh.
I was going to say, are you wrapped up? Because I was going to jump into my next thing, but I didn't want to cut you off.
Well, it might be based off of stuff you were just saying. More stuff we loved. Mm-hmm. The dynamic between him and Lois and how different their personalities are was so good.
Yes.
Like Lois's...
This was one of the best on-screen Lois portrayals ever.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the comics. I don't know Lois's character in the comics, but I loved her character in this movie.
Yeah.
Because she just thinks about things in a very black and white, like, well, she's just trying to find the facts and figure it out. She's not trying to hurt people's feelings, but Superman is just like, I just care about people, and I just, and
that like, I didn't realize it was this long. It didn't feel this long either time I watched the movie, but apparently that clip where she interviews him, it goes on for like right at or just over 15 minutes.
Wow.
And James Gunn said that to him, that was the biggest risk that he took in this movie, was putting a 15-minute dialogue-only scene in a superhero movie. And I think it paid off tremendously.
Oh, yeah.
That scene, I literally have, from the night we watched it, a note written down here. Lois and Clark interview scene felt so real.
Yeah.
Like, that literally felt like we were on, like there was a little camera, like we were a fly on the wall in someone's home watching a real couple argue. Like, he's thinking that like, this is like, oh, it's my girlfriend. She's going to like, she's going to do me good. Like, put me in a good light here for and she's like, wow, this is a great opportunity. I'm going to get like some really good hard hitting questions thrown in here. And like, I'm going to really, because he should know that I'm comfortable enough with him to, and they had totally different expectations, and the conversation crumbled. And then when she's like, do you think this is going well? And he goes, I think I'm doing a good job.
Yeah.
and the whole thing of like her asking things to him that he thinks she's only asking him because of he told her personal things, but she's like, I would ask anybody this.
Yeah.
And then they would have a little bickering, and he go, well, you can't use that. I mean, just, oh my gosh, the body language, the tone, it all felt so real, man. Yeah. And that's why it was so crushing at the end of it. When she says, I knew this wouldn't work, and he walks out, it really breaks your heart, because you're like, man, that's a fun little dynamic. That was cute. Like,
you mean at the end of that scene?
At the end of that scene, yeah. Like, it ends sadly.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I know. And it even his...
Which, by the way, leads to one of my gripes later.
Okay.
So remind me of that.
I will. If I remember, because I got some gripes too. But even his immaturity in that scene, because I actually align more with Lois's character as far as my worldview. So I totally understood where she was coming from. Mm-hmm. I was like, she's just trying to do her job, dude. She's not trying to. And he was a little bit immature, but it wasn't immature in like a gosh, like why would I root for him? It was like kind of heartbreaking and endearing.
Like you're talking to a child almost.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's an alien,
right?
For one, he doesn't understand, all this stuff. He's just trying to help people, and he's like, I'm trying to help, and everyone hates me, and I don't why,
Yeah.
And I can resonate with that too. It was
he's
so
got
good.
He really nailed the like childlike, I guess almost like a purity of just like just seeing the value in everyone.
Yeah.
And just being like, I don't care about the red tape. I don't care about the political relationships. All of you are fragile to me, and I care about you, and I don't want to see any of you get hurt. And he did such a good job of making me believe that, like, he wanted to help every single person he could help.
Yeah.
And man, I'm telling you, he's a great Superman. He is a great Superman. Now, I will say, and this isn't a gripe, we're not moving into gripes yet, but I'm just saying, I could have used a little more Clark in this movie just to really feel the differences out between Clark and Superman.
Yeah.
We'll get into that probably at some point, but speaking of Clark, another thing I loved was them going back to his parents.
Oh, yeah, dude. That whole scene was
gosh.
His parents are so good.
That is the first time I can remember watching a Superman movie and being like, oh, those aren't even actors. They got like real farmers.
Yeah, I know. That's how I felt too.
I mean, I know they're actors because actually the guy has played in a couple things I've seen. Shouts out to Justified fans. But he, I know they're actors, but I mean, they really looked the part. Like they talked like farmers. They looked like farmers. The house, the land and everything. Just, oh man, it was so good. It was so good. I loved that, like, got this like big, borderline like imposing figure dad, but he's like the softy, and the mom's like keeps calling him like, oh, you big mush, and like all this, like, because he loves his son. Like, that's his son, it's his boy. And oh man, it was so good. That little thing of him just kind of awkwardly sitting with him on the little swing and trying to talk to him about like a Mexican food place, and just to like break the ice, because at the beginning of the movie, they call him to congratulate him on his front page story, and they tell him like, hey, don't be a stranger. Like, so it kind of alludes to he hadn't been home a lot probably in the last 3 years since he's been doing the Superman thing, and I'm sure part of that's to like keep them safe, but part of it's probably just he's really busy, kind of leading two lives. And then he shows up there at his lowest point, and they're just like immediately in parent mode. Like, oh my gosh, man. And then him telling him that it doesn't matter what your parents sent you here for. The choices you make determine the person you are. Oh, dude, I'm getting chills right now.
A lot of people did not like the reveal that his actual parents wanted him to
like colonize Earth.
Yeah. I loved it. Like, it was, I mean, I hated it for the character. It's like, dude, that actually really sucks. But what a crushing, like, what a difficult situation for him to have to deal with.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, it's not about power. It's just about, like, I thought I was sent here to help people. I want to help people. And my actual parents sent me here to take over the world. Yeah. Like, how am I supposed to live with that?
Well, and the thing of it is, I don't know that one thing. I don't know how much you're looking at stuff still on like social media about it. I know leading into it, you were seeing a lot. I don't know if you still are, but that one decision is getting just absolutely ripped apart online. And look,
everyone is ripping so much stuff apart in this movie, and it's completely unfounded. That one I can understand not liking, but there's so much people are saying, "Oh, this Superman was just terrible. Oh, he rescued a squirrel." Like, they're nitpicking the most ridiculous things, and I don't know. It seems so weird to me because I have no idea where these fans came from. It's like you said. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Even the people in our day-to-day that we interact with, nobody feels that way. Even the people who like the Snyder movies. So that's why I get online. I'm like, where are these people coming from?
Yeah.
Who actually feels this way?
I mean, so my thing is this. I understand people are upset that they feel like James Gunn, to use their term, ruined however many odd years of lore, like Superman lore, with that one decision. I understand the complaint. My rebuttal to that is simply this. who said that James Gunn's Superman movie is the one and only definition for the character as a whole?
That's kind of the whole thing about comics.
That's exactly right. If you prefer to think of his parents, even his Kryptonian parents, as like these good-hearted, alien beings that just they wanted him no matter where he landed to find a home and maybe to be a hopeful presence and a helpful presence and all that. Roll with that. There's plenty, as you pointed out online, there's plenty, years, decades worth of examples of that being the case. This is one, like, kind of caveat to the rule or exception to the rule or whatever. And I think James Gunn did it because it was a little spin on the story, it was a little twist on the story. I mean, I don't think it ruins anything. The whole point about his parents is they're dead. Why does it matter? I mean, they don't play a role further in the story. So if you want to tweak it here at the beginning, go ahead and tweak it. It didn't bother me.
I also still am not totally convinced that it's a real message.
I wasn't until the movie ended and it never got brought back up and whatever. I put it like this. If they go back now in like another movie and they're like, oh, it was actually fake, I'd be like, okay, see, now I have a problem with that because your whole, like, even the ending of the movie, when he goes back to the Fortress of Solitude and he's like, oh, we're going to play footage of your parents, and it's this really sweet moment of, like, instead of it being the thing from the beginning of the movie where it's his Kryptonian parents' message that soothes him, now it's like all these like home video clips of his Earth parents raising him. It would undercut that. Mr. Terrific, who I really knew like nothing about going into this movie, but I'm really sold on him as a character coming out of it. I really liked him. And I like him that he's like kind of the brains of the operation for the Justice Gang right now. And I mean, his whole thing is like tech. Like he's really, 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 really good and knowledgeable at tech. And he confirmed that it wasn't like it wasn't messed with, it wasn't fake. So it would undercut that. It would kind of undercut the whole thing of like him coming, the whole lesson he learned of coming to realize that like it doesn't matter what you were sitting here for. You're here. And now you're making your own choices. You're an adult and you're making your own choices, and that's going to determine who you are. Not that. And that's why I loved, as a parent, the message that Pa Kent said to him, which was, parents aren't put here to determine what their kids do. They're put here to give them tools to embarrass themselves on their own. Like, I mean, kids are going to make mistakes. You're going to misstep. But your parents are here to guide you, not, like, this is what you are. Like, I mean, I loved that.
By the way, it's such a beautiful, like, I don't know the word I'm looking for. It's just, I love the fact that he has these just Southern hick farmer parents who aren't really super intelligent. I mean, I'm not trying to be like, they're just,
they don't come off as like overly educated.
Yeah,
they're farmers.
They're just normal farmers,
right?
And they were trusted with raising him, and they're actually the ones who help him realize what he's meant to do.
Yeah.
Like, rather than his super powerful, really smart Kryptonian parents, or Mr. Terrific or anything like that.
Right.
It's just, that's what makes Superman so interesting.
Right.
Is it's just the normal, average, everyday. That's where the wisdom is.
Yes. I'm telling you, man, that they nailed the whole family aspect of it. They really did. But yeah, I really, really loved everything about him going home, that conversation with his dad. I even like when all the stuff kind of starts popping off there near the end before he leaves again, and his mom's like, I cleaned your boots for you. I'll go get them. Just stuff like that. Just like such a like mother thing. It's like, hey, this doesn't matter at all, but I cleaned your boots.
Yeah, I love that too.
I love it, man. It
was so another cute part where nobody laughed, and I was like,
yeah,
it's like, what's wrong with you people?
No heart.
Bunch of Snyder fans in there.
Yeah, they were just there to, I can't believe his mom loves him. That's not in the comic. That's not in the comic. His mom don't love it.
Also, aren't there comic lines where that did happen, where his Kryptonian parents actually sent him to?
There might be. I really don't know.
I thought that I thought I saw some stuff where that actually is from comic lines.
As long as Superman has been a thing, you can't tell me they haven't done just about everything with him.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. So I don't know. And I'm going to tell you what, if I research that and find out there is, I'm going to have a field day talking junk to people online. Like, oh, yeah, you clearly don't know anything.
Yeah.
Because it's already been done.
Well, there's a guy I follow on Twitter who is a big Superman fan, a big Superman comic fan, and he loved this movie. And he told people who were griping about that, he said, these people have obviously never read Superman comics. That was one of his,
there you go. It probably is then. It probably is in a comic storyline. So, and that's the thing people don't realize, or if they do, they don't care or think about it. James Gunn grew up reading comics. Like, it's not like he just grew up, like only loving film or like only loving like sports or something and then just decided like, hey, there's a lot of money in this superhero thing. He's very passionate about it. He grew up reading. Dude, he made a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Like, that's crazy. Like, it's not crazy now in 2025, but if you rewind back to what, like 2014, 13, people are like, what is this? And then when the Marvel logo pops up in the trailer, you're like, this is a Marvel movie?
Yeah.
Like, no one knew who they were. And if they told you they did, you're like, you're lying. Tell me one thing about them. One thing. I mean, dude, like, he knows his stuff. He knows this stuff. That's why he wanted to write this movie. He didn't hire writers. He didn't outsource it. He didn't bring in a different director to do it. Like, he had a vision he was very passionate about it. So all these people like talking all this junk and look, again, let me reemphasize here. I didn't hate the Snyder movies. I did not love the Snyder movies. They were okay. There's things about them I go back and maybe watch specific scenes on YouTube. But then there's things where I'm like, I just don't need to rewatch that movie again. That being said, the honest truth is Zack Snyder was quoted like talking junk about like comic book movies and stuff. Like, he's notably like in the past been known to like not love them. And I think like one of the writers he had helping him with Batman versus Superman was quoted at one point in his life saying, yeah, if you're like doing a movie like Batman versus Superman, like, these two like iconic things like fighting each other, you're just kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel. Like, you pretty much like have, nothing left to say. You're just kind of like throwing toys at each other. Like, that was the attitude of people that were working on that movie.
Yeah.
Zack Snyder is more like, he likes the edgelord, like the edgy, grim, kind of violent. Like, he likes stuff like that. And that's fine. There's a place for that. It's not in Superman, though.
Right.
I mean, he'd probably be a good Punisher director/writer. But
that would be interesting.
It would be. And visually, he's great at what he does visually. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from the man, but what I'm saying is people hating on this stuff, you're not understanding. James Gunn probably knows way more about these comics than you do.
Yeah.
A lot of people just don't read comics anymore, and that's not a bad thing. That's not a knock on anyone. I enjoy what I have read, and I have not read nearly as many as probably, first of all, the guy you're talking about. I haven't read that much Superman at all.
Yeah.
Like, I just haven't. I tried to pick up some stuff, like when DC did their whole New 52 movement, and it was okay, but it didn't hook me. So I was, I haven't read a lot of Superman. So I mean, all these people, man, they're just talking. They're just talking. There's got to be
their mouths.
Yeah, there's got to be discourse around everything. There's got to be. So it is what it is. But
I don't want to keep talking about what I love to not give you a space, but I don't want to forget.
Well,
this.
That was my thing. Like, I brought up the parents thing, and that led to so that's right. It actually is your turn.
I'm sure you're going to agree with me here. The hands down the best Lex Luthor on screen I've ever seen.
I'd have to agree with you off the top of my head. I know there's been some fairly iconic ones, but man, Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah. And can I just say, another thing that I loved, once again, they're not trying to rehash things. This felt like a new take on it. He felt like his own villain. And I am so... It was so refreshing to see in a superhero movie a classic bad guy that you love to hate
Yeah.
There's no complex motives. I mean, you understand his motives. It makes sense why he makes the decisions he makes. But there's no complex, morally ambiguous type of like, even Thanos was a little bit, and I loved Thanos, but even Thanos was a little bit like that, where he thought he was doing the right thing. And Lex Luthor just hates these metahumans because, and you can almost understand how someone could get to that point.
Yeah.
And you just love to hate him. Everything that he does, it's like, I hate this guy. Like, and it was so refreshing. There's a clear good guy and a clear bad guy, and I know who I'm rooting for. And that's one of the things that I've always loved about superhero movies. It's got that kind of like, you know, I don't know.
That dynamic between the hero and the villain.
Yeah. Exactly. It was so, and he did such a good job. His acting, he was not trying to be the Joker. I felt like and I love Jesse Eisenberg as an actor, but I felt like there was just this kind of, ever since Heath Ledger's Joker, there's been this thing where like villains feel like they have to be the Joker again.
It's like unhinged, you know, over the top, kind of goofy, when that's really not the tone they should be going for.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved his Lex Luthor.
Yeah. Lex did a great job. He looked the part. His body language, his little subtle facial expressions, his like random outbursts of yelling. And man, I'm gonna tell you, there were some scenes in there, they really pushed it a little bit. That scene where after they lose Superman, they had him locked up and they lose him, and he comes in and he's freaking out, and he throws the mug down on the ground that had all the pencils in. He's like, pick that up. And then while they're doing it, he's like telling Eve, his like girlfriend, to get out. He's like, get out of here, you idiot. And he's like really kind of being abusive. And then he like picks a pen or pencil up or something and throws it at her. And it's like really kind of pushing a line, because yes, it's a pen or pencil, but it's violent behavior towards a woman. Like, you just don't see that a lot in movie. Like,
it makes you hate him.
Really, like I was just about to say, in that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, if I didn't hate him before, like, oh my Lord, like, this is brutal. And then it was stupid, but I thought I liked it. They put all the pins in a different cup and put it up there, and he just immediately slides it right back off again. And they have to start picking it up again. Like, it wasn't evil, it was just petty. And I just loved it, man. I saw a thing on Twitter. It was who would win in a hater off, and it was Nick Hoult, Lex Luthor, and Topher Grace's Eddie Brock from Spider-Man 3. and a person said, he said, dude, Topher Grace's Eddie Brock went to Jesus Christ and asked him to kill Peter Parker without a hint of venom in him and without knowing he was Spider-Man. He did that to a reporter. He wins.
That's a solid point. But it depends on how you're describing it, because I think Lex Luthor could actually get the job done. Like, he's much more likely to get it done than
they were more saying like who would win as far as just being like the biggest hater, like the most petty. And it's like, dude, he prayed to God to just kill Peter Parker without having venom in him or knowing he was Spider-Man. He just was like, I don't like him.
Yeah,
smite him. Like,
you know, those are other movies too. The Sam Raimi movie. Oh, I was gonna make this comment because you were talking about the unapologetically comic book movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it reminded me of when I first saw The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And I know that that's a movie that a lot of comic book lovers don't really like. Like, that movie got a lot of flack. A lot of people didn't really like. I loved that movie, but I think that's still to this day my favorite Spider-Man movie. That's probably a really unpopular opinion. Anyway, whether or not you like the movie, you can probably agree. Everyone seemed to love the opening scene, at least. Not his parents, but when he's like, see
falling.
Yeah, and then he goes and gets the stuff from the guy.
Yeah.
And he's on top of the car, and he goes like, hey, I'm Spider-Man, nice to meet you. And then he comes out, and then he goes on top of you see his head pop down. He's like, you're not a shaker. You know, that whole dynamic, I was like, I hadn't seen that in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. So like, this feels like a comic book. You know, he's being goofy, he's being quirky as he's like trying to fight, which Tobey Maguire was a better Peter Parker as far as his awkward kind of like nerdy behavior, but Andrew Garfield felt more like a comic book Spider-Man when he was actually the superhero. Anyway, all that to say,
real quick on that, I will say what I hate is that I don't hate that I agree with you. What I hate about that is that when Toby did kind of like let loose a little bit with the quips, he was actually really good with them.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorite scenes as a kid in Spider-Man 1 was when Green Goblin busts into the Daily Bugle to talk to Jay Jonah and try and get Spider-Man, like get him to give him up. And which, by the way, like my man Jay Jonah, or he's a real one, he was like, I don't know who the photographer is. He sends him in by mail. Protecting my man Peter. But anyway, and then Peter is like, oh, holy crap. And he runs out and then comes back as Spider-Man. And he's like, talking to the Green Goblin, and Jay Jonah keeps, I knew you two were in this together. And he like webs his mouth shut. And he's like, quiet, sweetheart. The adults are talking. Like just stuff like, he was so good with the quips, but you are right. Andrew did them a lot more frequently. And it did feel a lot more true to like how Spidey in the comic, I mean, he's a kid. So he like hides his fear behind this like false bravado and talking a lot of junk in his fight. And all his villains always comment on, do you ever shut up? Like, because that's what he does. He makes puns and he's, just to try and lighten the mood because he's a little bit afraid because he's not invincible. I mean, he could die doing this, but he feels like he has a responsibility to do it. And I think Andrew really captured that well of like that cocky, like late teenage, early 20 attitude of like, I'm gonna just make jokes even though you got a gun pointed at me. And so I will give you that. He was really good at that.
Yeah, well, and it was more than just the saying too. It was, for one, in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, for one, it was the costume, the round, like the way his head looked, because they actually put a hard shell mask over his face before the costume to make it look perfectly rounded, and those big white eyes. And then his movements with it too, where he's like, "Oh, you're not a shaker." Hey, like the way he's
just very exaggerated.
Yeah. It just, all of it looked like. But anyway, all that we're talking about Superman today, but all that to say,
what
that seeing that movie made me feel like this is a real comic book movie, and then I had that feeling like 10x watching this one. Like this felt like what I know about Superman comics on screen.
Yeah,
it felt like a comic book brought to life, which was like so great.
Well, and two, I mean, while we're relating it to Spider-Man franchisees, I came out of that movie feeling like, man, the last time I remember seeing like an iconic comic book city feel that alive, like how Metropolis felt in this movie, was Sam Raimi's New York in the Spider-Man. Like I've heard other people say it on YouTube. I didn't like come up with this, but I've agreed with it ever since I think it was Cosmonaut Variety Hour said it, but in those movies, it might have been High Top Films. It was one of them. In those movies, New York, like the city, was another character. Like you get reactions and people like doing the little news clips and stuff, and like you get a feel for the people that live there that the hero is protecting. It was like another character. It felt alive. Metropolis felt the same way. You get all these close shots of people running from like debris falling and like reactions. And then the one guy from the food stand comes and pulls Superman up out of the little like hole he got thrown into or whatever. Like, I love that, man. I miss stuff like that in movies. You don't get a lot of it anymore because everything's all green screen and they're like, well, we can't focus too hard on people because then you might be able to. But it felt practical. It felt real. It felt like another character in the cast. I loved it. I really did.
Yeah, and on that note, I'm glad you brought that up because it reminded me of another thing I loved. This was the first time I saw a DC movie where where the city didn't feel like a carbon copy of an actual American city. Like,
it felt unique.
Yeah, and every Batman, even the new Batman with Robert Pattinson. Even in the new Robert Pattinson Batman, in the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix especially, they all just felt like New York. And people even just talked in New York. And in the Snyder movies, it's like, I could kind of see how they were trying to make it look different here and there, but it really it looked like Chicago or whatever.
Yeah.
Just a big city. Metropolis felt like a place that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
The way every time you saw it, the people in it, it felt like a city that I've never heard of or seen before.
Yeah.
It felt like a different world.
Well, I will, again, we're not going to tangent. I'm going to throw out my opinion. I will say I sort of disagree with the Pattinson that was the most dirty, grimy, like that felt like Gotham to me.
Well, it felt like a Gothamized New York. I mean, they straight up had Times Square in there. Like, it was
talking about that beginning scene when he's walking through the crowd.
I don't remember. There's a couple scenes, I think, where you just see the big screens.
Yeah, but a lot of cities have that.
Not like that. I mean, it just straight up looked like Times Square.
I'd have to go back, but anyway, regardless, like I said, I don't want to tangent on it, but I just I liked that Gotham. Like to me,
you can like it. I'm not knocking on whether that's a bad thing.
No, I get, but I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but like I agree with you. If it's a city that doesn't exist, but it's iconic in its own right as far as like a fictional place, it should feel like a unique thing. And to me, that Gotham did way more than Nolan's or the Joker, which I've never watched the Joker and I probably never will. But from what I've seen in clips and in the trailers and stuff, I'll give you the Joker as well. But Nolan's also felt just like a very sterile, just like city. It didn't like even look like that bad of a place most of the time. Gotham is supposed to be it's Gotham, like it's supposed to be dark and gritty and grimy, and I mean it's just a place of crime. It's a terrible place. Everyone's crooked. The politicians, the cops. There's gangs running around it. Anyway, that's a whole.
It's almost as bad as DC.
Almost,
yeah,
almost. Are you talking about DC Comics or
no Washington DC?
Oh, golly. I don't know. I've never been there, but regardless, yes, this did feel like a iconic like superhero like comic city script right off the page or right out of an animated show even.
Yeah,
and just boop, put like real people in it, real buildings.
Well, like that shot when you first see the Daily Planet, it just looks like it doesn't look like CGI. I mean, it looked really good. It looked like a real place.
Yeah,
but it didn't look like any city that I had ever seen or heard of.
Yeah,
and I was just that one shot too. I was like, wow, that's because usually the Daily Planet is on top of like a New York building, and you just have to pretend it's Metropolis, right, or Chicago building or whatever.
Yeah,
but yeah.
So I guess on that note, we're at the hour mark. We're going to go ahead and take our break. When we come back, we might do a little cleaning up, just making sure we hit on all the things we really, really loved. And then from there, we're going to kind of start getting into our critiques, our gripes, and, finish up talking about the movie. Maybe give it a little score, a little star rating or something. And that'll be it. So we'll be back with you shortly. And we're back.
And front.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Real quick, I mean, I know we're about to get into the things we absolutely hated that made our skin crawl about this movie. It worries me that I had my phone out for the good notes and Daniel's pulling his out for the bad notes. This is where the episode's probably about to get real interesting. But real quick, just to clean up this a little bit, a couple things that we sort of touched on, but just to like read you my notes of as I was watching the movie. I'm going to skip the first one because it actually is kind of more of a gripe than a good one. But I did love, I forgot to mention the Luthor quote from the beginning of the movie where Superman was fighting the Hammer of Baravia, and Luthor kind of had the whole thing planned so that the engineer could go out and see where his little home base was, and she finds it, and she's like, I can dig through the snow and get to it. I know I can. And he says, your pride won't be making our decisions today. Love that. Great line. It showed that, like, yes, he's unhinged. Yes, he hates him. He can't stand him, but he is smart. He knew ahead of time. He said, we're going to need more than you when we go in there. He knew, like, he's like, look, I have a plan. I'm big brain boy, me bald. I know what we do. You don't. Come back. He had everyone on a leash, man. He's very, very meticulous. I already said Lois and Clark interview scene felt so real. On Luthor's desk, I thought I saw it the first time, so the second time I was like really looking. I don't know if you noticed. There's a picture frame that you only get a quick glimpse of before Superman throws the desk. there's a picture frame. Do you remember the like creepy ghost alien thing that was like driving the little hover car around in the pocket dimension to take them to the different cells?
Very vaguely.
I don't know what that thing is. I'm sure it's a comic book reference or something. I have no, it looks creepy, but that thing, he has a picture of it on his desk. So I don't know what the connection there is, but I just thought that was interesting. Hilarious take on, especially very ironic considering all the hate this movie's getting online. Hilarious take on social media trolls. Were just a bunch of mind-controlled monkeys jabbing away at keyboards in the pocket dimension. That was hilarious. Jimmy and Eve, hilarious. Jimmy Olsen was great in this movie, and I could have used a little more of him. The Mr. Terrific fight scene on the island when him and Lois go to look at the like dimensional transporter thingy. That fight scene was, first of all, lifted straight out of Guardians of the Galaxy and plopped into and it worked so well. I loved it. And then lastly, again, we kind of touched on it, but just to really, I mean, this was the exact note I wrote. The emotional height of the movie was Ma and Pa Kent talking with Superman and then transitioning to the impending invasion on the country. And then I said in parentheses, the score induces chills. The score in this movie is the last thing I'm going to brag on before we move to the gripes. Oh my goodness. The score was amazing. Amazing.
I hated it. No, I'm just kidding. I totally agree.
I'm going to leave now.
It worked.
I knew I could get rid of him. It's my show now.
Only took 15 episodes.
New record. Yeah. So yeah, now we'll move on to the part that I'm gonna hate. No, actually, I might surprise you.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you kind of take the floor on this one though, because I feel like you have a lot more to say than I do. I'm just gonna respond to everything with a scowling growl.
Ironically, I don't really remember most of my gripes. To be totally honest with you, I was setting it up to.
Who are you?
I still don't like the way Kryptonite was done, but they did it the best I've ever seen it done in a Superman movie. So, like anyone who's been listening, we know we argue about Kryptonite a lot because I've always hated the idea of Kryptonite because it's just like it completely takes away all the stakes. It feels like, well, if you just find this green rock, you can just kill Superman. And then Superman always just happens to get out of it every time someone finds Kryptonite. It just doesn't seem like, and you brought up the point last time, is like, well, what if there was like some caveat? Like, we can use Kryptonite, but it would like nuke a city if we used it. And I was like, that would make it more interesting.
Well, not like, nuke a city, but like it would hurt the people. Well, I think you were like saying like a nuke, but I was just saying like.
You said nuke a city.
What I meant.
I know what you meant.
It was like
there's consequences.
Right, like it would make people sick. Like it would hurt normal people. Not like blow them up like a bomb, but like using it would like how there's nuclear fallout and it's like toxic. Like that's what I more meant was like if you use it, yeah, you can hurt Superman, but it's like really bad for normal humans too.
Well, I would even take it as far as like you have to nuke, like it's like a nuclear bomb, like if you use it.
But I'm going to tell you something real quick. Having seen this movie, like before we saw it, I thought that would actually be really cool that like, oh man, like if Lex just hates Superman because he's an alien and he's like, rah, rah, we're human. I was like, that would be really cool because he would have to hurt humans to hurt Superman. But having seen this movie and how willing he was to kill like so many people to hurt Superman, that actually still wouldn't work because he would do it. He would do it. It wouldn't even be like a hesitation of like, oh man, but I'm going to hurt people.
Yeah, but his whole thing was he had to convince, because he wanted to keep his image up, so he had to convince other people why Superman needed to die.
Right.
So he couldn't just use a nuke to kill Superman and maintain that image, is the thing.
Right. I mean, it wouldn't be a nuke, though.
Well, but I'm saying that would make it satisfactory for me. It's like I have this kryptonite, I could use it to kill Superman, but I have to convince these people in order to maintain my whatever. So I'm just saying there needs to be some kind of caveat to it. So At the beginning of the movie, and we actually had this discussion plenty of times. I even think you used this phrase. You said, "What if they say like it's not on the planet or something? Would you be okay with that?" And I was like,
well, yeah, I was like, what if it just isn't around?
Yeah,
and
I said they would have to explain it.
Yeah, you did. You were like, it would depend.
Yeah.
So how did you feel? Because at the beginning of the movie, or near the beginning, they're having a and I'm only setting this up for people, just refreshing. I know but they're having a little like government high secret, like top secret meeting at a little round table, and Lex is trying to convince them that he's a problem, blah 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 blah, and they're like, well, what about that the kryptonite stuff, what's it called? And he goes, it's called kryptonite. And they're like, right. And he's like, there's none on the planet.
Yeah.
So basically the implication there is, I guess, like whatever was there has been used and the rest is gone. Like like they got rid of it or something, which would have been interesting to like know more about, but they did explain it.
That would also be another thing that would make it good is like, this is the only kryptonite we have. We have one chance to use it. So if Superman gets away, that would make kryptonite more interesting to me. But it's just always like, it's like I said, when Batman vs. Superman came out, I already knew the plot. Batman's going to find kryptonite.
Well, everyone did.
But that's what I'm saying. That's why I don't like kryptonite. Anyway, so in this movie, they started with that, and I was like, okay, great. I love it. It's off the planet, so they have to find some clever way to beat this super powerful dude. I'm starting to remember more of my gripes now.
which he did say in that, he's like, I have a workaround around that. And he didn't elaborate on it, but you find out later.
Yeah. So then when Superman, so Lex Luthor captures the super dog, Krypto, the super dog, and Superman goes to rescue him, which, by the way, another thing I love, he's like, I gotta go get the dog. And Lois is like, it's just a dog. And he's like, yeah, it's not even a good one, but he's probably out there and scared. I'm like, dude, Superman is so endearing.
Like, that line right there, I forgot to talk about this in my things I love. That scene, when I went to the second showing, my buddy laughed at that. Not at that part, but at the part in that scene right before it, when she's talking about how she was like a punk rock kid from something, and he's like, yeah, I love punk rock.
Yeah.
She's like, you did not love punk rock. And he's like, the whatever monkeys or whatever they were. And she's like, they are not punk rock. And he's like, yeah, they are. And they kind of go back and forth. And then she's like, I question everything. I never trust anything or anyone. And you think every person you've ever met is the most beautiful thing ever. Like, everyone you meet is just this beautiful embodiment of honesty and trust. And he says, maybe that's the real punk rock.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have like taken that and like turned it into a joke. But like, to me, that's a really impactful line, because he's kind of right. Like, punk rock was all about being, anti-conformist. And nowadays, the majority of people, like, if the conforming thing is to not trust anyone, the punk rock stance to take is to love people and trust people and stuff like. And I obviously know, like, in the real world, that's just not realistic. I'm not telling, like, hey, just if a stranger walks up to your kids, just trust them. Like, I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is it's an impactful line for someone who can completely protect himself and is at no risk on the day-to-day on this planet. It's a beautiful line.
Unless you have kryptonite.
But people don't, because it's off the planet. It's a beautiful line, and I really liked it. And then from there, we even take it a step further with I loved that. It's just a dog. He's literally going to turn himself into the government because they might take him to wherever they've hidden crypto. And she says, it's just a dog. And he does. He says, and he's not even a very good one.
Yeah.
I could so relate to that.
Yeah.
But like you say, he's like, but he's out there alone and he's probably scared. I loved that, man.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Me too. Yeah.
So anyway, we were talking about the kryptonite thing, and you were bringing that up.
Yeah. So he goes, he turns himself in to find the dog, and then Lex Luthor takes him into the pocket dimension, and he puts him in this cell with this alien guy.
Which I think I want to say, from what I've heard people say, his name is Metamorpho. Okay, he's a comic book. I don't know if he's a hero or villain. I don't know much about him. Again, I haven't read a lot of Superman, but
yeah. And this guy can turn his body into any kind of material, pretty much, including
like
kryptonite.
Elemental things. Yeah,
including kryptonite. So he turns his hand into kryptonite, and it makes Superman weak and stuff.
It poisoned them, which is, I don't know if that's how it's been depicted before, but it was really gruesome in this movie.
Yeah, I did not like that. That was another gripe I had, is like, dude, if you get kryptonite, it's just over. And that's a big gripe I had, is why didn't Lex Luthor just kill him right then and there? Because he had already gotten the government to turn him in. He could have tried to explain it away or something. That was a big plot hole to me. Like, there were several times when he could have killed Superman. And
well, he was trying to get information from him. He didn't want him to die.
What was
yet.
the information? I forgot.
Remember when he brought in that guy from the street?
I remember that.
He was like, I forget the first thing he asked. He asked him something first about like where he was from or something about his home planet, something like that. And then the second one he asked was, who raised you, like on Earth?
Oh,
he was trying to get a lot of stuff out of him before. He was definitely going to kill him, but he was trying to do everything he could to milk every bit of. He wanted to eradicate anything that had anything to do. You remember when the thing was ripping through the planet, the interdimensional thing, and it was hitting cities. The people in his office were like, dude, it's hitting Metropolis, and he's like, I'll stop it from the base when it gets to a city I care about, because he was saying that they chose him over me.
Yeah.
So his whole point was, I don't want to just get rid of you. I want to get rid of everyone that supported you. I want to get rid of anyone that ever helped you live on this planet.
That is fair, I guess. I guess that does make, and again, that's just a nitpick.
Right.
I'm not saying,
right. But I'm just, if I came away with a different view from it, I'm going to at least try and explain where I saw it from. So my thing on that was, I think he was definitely going to kill him, but he wanted to get everything he could out of him first.
Yeah, and that makes sense. But I still think, and maybe that's just that's one of the villain's flaws. But I guess they could have explained it just a little bit better. But I also loved that line too. Whenever it was like, dude, this is going to destroy the city. He says, they chose him. Let them die. I was like, oh man, like that really shows you his character.
Yeah. He had no chill.
No hair. And no hair. So whenever the kryptonite showed up, I was infuriated, because I was like, now he did say the workaround thing, but I'm like, I thought that would maybe be a different movie or something. And I was like, you just at the beginning of the movie got rid of the only thing that I don't like about Superman. And then you're just to bring it right back. And like, oh, of course, Lex Luthor has kryptonite. But then as it went on, I started to see, well, this might actually be a little interesting, because the only way to access kryptonite is to get this guy on your side. So if Superman can convince him to join his side, then Lex Luthor will pretty much be powerless, and like he won't have any access to kryptonite. So like this one guy, you have to get, like, you can't just get kryptonite. You have to get this guy to make it for you. And that was satisfying to me. Like mostly, it's still a little bit. I just don't like the fact that if he turns his hand to kryptonite, Superman's just done. And you would think that Lex Luthor would just kill Superman and then try to eradicate his people or whatever after that. But that part is a small gripe, but I still think, I mean, the smart thing to do would be kill Superman, then try to kill anyone who had anything to do with him or whatever. You can find information about who raised him from other people.
I don't know. Ma and Pa Kent seem like they're pretty well off the grid.
Not for Lex Luthor. He can figure it out.
He's also not that smart. He literally, when he was riding away from that same scene, he's like, maybe next person I'll bring in here to kill is that reporter you're always doing interviews with. Maybe I'll kill Clark Kent. I'm like, really? You're that smart? You've been watching him this much? You haven't figured out he's Clark Kent?
Yeah, but they explain that with the hypno glasses.
Right. No, I get, but I'm saying,
I love that too.
But like, he's a little bald boy. Look, I mean, I don't know how to say. He has no hair. I'm gonna keep saying it.
All right, dude. But whenever he beats Superman in that fight, and he goes like brains over brawn or whatever he says like that, like, anyway,
3A, 12B.
So
up, down, left, right, BA, select, start.
They should have had someone with a game controller just doing that. That would be funny. So yeah, the kryptonite thing, it was handled in a way that was satisfying enough. I could live with it. I was like, all right. And the rest of the movie was so good that I was willing to give it that.
Well, not to mention, too, he had to become the sun to heal him after that, which was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So then, what was I going to say? Okay. That basically, okay, so two things. That ties into the big problem I already had, which I mentioned it, where Lex Luthor had chances to kill him, and then he talked about the Barovian thing and said, and I loved and hated this because Superman was like, your Barovian plans won't work because I sent help, and he's like, no. I wasn't getting to you so that I could get to Barovia. I set the whole thing up in Barovia so I could have an excuse to kill you.
Yeah.
And I loved that dynamic, but at the same time I was like, well, then why didn't you kill him when you had Kryptonite? I get you're trying to get information out of him, but if that was your whole plan all along, you had a chance to kill him. So,
that's, so this is a gripe I have like with another one of my friends, that when we talk about stuff like this, is what you're going to find if at a certain point is that every single story has plot holes. Every single one. Because in real life, we kind of know it would not go down like this.
I disagree with that.
I'm telling you right now, if there was a threat like that in real life that like someone hated that much, they would not keep him alive to get information. They would murder him on the spot.
No, I agree with that. I disagree that every story has plot holes.
I guarantee you, if you give me anything, I could probably find plot holes in it. Not like story ruining plot holes, but plot hole, because the bottom line is every good story, there's going to have to be some level of suspension of disbelief at some point of like, okay, maybe in real life this wouldn't go down exactly like this, but I am going to, overlook that because the story has to happen. Yes, obviously in reality, he could have and probably should have went ahead and maybe would have killed Superman right there when he had him, weakened by Kryptonite, but then there's no movie and Superman is dead. Like, it's obviously not going to happen. So
you're being too kind. Like, you shouldn't have had him. You should have had there be a stronger reason why he couldn't kill Superman. And again, this is a nitpick. It didn't ruin the movie for me, but I'm just
saying it did. I disagree with that. I don't think it needed. I didn't need a stronger reason.
He when he told Superman, "I did all this so I can have an excuse to kill you." He had that excuse when Superman turned himself in. He could have just done it.
Right, but again, it is displayed multiple times throughout that movie how much he was willing to go through to like ruin his life. And get rid of anyone who even supported him.
I understand that, but that's ruined with the line when he says, I did everything just so I could kill you.
Right.
He's saying that is my main motivation.
Right. But he
had a chance to do it and didn't do it.
Part of that is getting rid of anyone who supported him.
But he didn't say that. He should have said that
in the line. He did at the end.
No, in the line. He should have said that in the line. Like, he basically said, my whole reason for doing all of this is to kill you.
I get what you're saying, but I feel like it was perfectly well explained that he didn't want anyone around who had anything to do with him.
Agree to disagree. I mean, I think it was explained that that's what he wanted, but that line puts him as his main motivation. His primary goal is to kill Superman and get him off the planet.
Right.
And you can still kill him when you have him, and then kill everyone that he loves and all that stuff too.
Do you think Lex Luthor was egotistical?
Yeah.
So do you also not believe that maybe it was just the fact that he was never worried that he couldn't recapture him?
No.
Especially considering he had a literal exact copy clone of him.
He flipped out whenever Superman got out.
He flipped out when he got out because he was mad, but it wasn't because no, we'll never get him again. He was like, find him. Like, he had a literal clone of him that actually,
you're reaching.
Actually was kicking his butt while Lex could control him. But once the cameras were gone, obviously he's just a dumb clone. But Lex actually kind of proved in that movie that should he ever be able and capable of like matching him physically, he would probably be a pretty tough match for him. Which there are comic lines where he gets like a mech suit that he creates that puts him like on par, and he fights Superman with it. So I don't know if they're ever going to do that, but if they do, like, he probably would give him a run for his money. I mean, he controlled a clone with voice commands and was kicking his butt.
Sure, but I think that's a little bit of a stretch. They didn't explain it well enough, even if that's the reason.
Look, man, it does get to a point where it's like, if you start explaining every little thing to me, I'm going to be like, I don't need this. I'm a grown adult.
The whole point of this segment is to go over our gripes, though.
No, I get it. But I mean, I knew.
Why didn't you react this way when we talked about the Thunderbolts gripes and I mentioned the timer?
I did. I told you. I was like, no, actually, I think that makes sense because it adds tension to this.
You added a little bit, but you're like livid over this.
I'm not livid. I'm just saying. First and foremost, I'll say this: Thunderbolts was an all around better movie.
Yeah,
than this. We already talked about that right after the movie, and we agreed on that. But so that's part of it. Is you had one gripe about that movie, and I really didn't hate the gripe because I was like, I mean, I get it. I think it made sense because it's a movie and it's a visual format. Therefore, they put a visual countdown for the viewer to be like, oh, something's happening. I had no problem with that. Yes, in the context of the real world, it makes no sense. Why would you give the people this is exactly how much time you have to stop what I'm doing? Like, I get it. But I mean, it didn't bother me. And I did try and explain it, and you told me the same thing. You're like, nah, that's stupid. I'm like, okay. But other than that, you're like, it's near perfect.
Yeah.
But this, first of all, it's not your only gripe with the movie, I'm sure.
I got two more after this.
And then on top of that is the fact that I really this is where I start to be like like I tell you about these people online. It's like you complain about this, but if he went the like polar opposite and did this, then you'd be like in this example, if people were like, yeah, he didn't explain this thoroughly enough, but then like if they stopped and gave like all the exposition in the world and like explained people like they're just full of exposition. They talked too much about what they didn't show, they told. That's like a whole thing.
You could easily show any of this away.
They did.
I don't think that they did. I don't think that they showed it satisfying. I mean, we're just going to agree to disagree here. Is what you think that's satisfying. That's my gripe. Is like whenever he said that line, I was like, "Well, dude, you could have killed him earlier."
So just to clarify, your gripe is that he didn't kill Superman.
My gripe is that he established toward the end that his main primary motivation, everything that he was doing, was so he could kill Superman. And he had the chance to do it and didn't do it.
Right.
Now, obviously, if he had killed Superman, the movie would be over. So that's not...
That's what I'm saying.
Dude, I don't even understand. Yeah, but that's...
I guess what I'm saying is
how ridiculous. You have to write...
So your point is you would rather that line just not be in there.
Either that or explain it away. He should have said, even if he would have said something like, I did all of this to get at you. Like, even if he had said that instead of to kill you. If he said, I did all this to have an excuse to ruin you, that would have been more satisfying because it's like, okay, you wanted to ruin his life. You didn't just want to kill him. But he made it sound like in that line, my entire motive for everything that I did was to kill you. And I'm like, well, you had a perfect chance when the Kryptonite came out. And again, I'm not even that animated about it. I'm just saying it's a nitpick. Like, it seems like a little plot hole that I wish they would have. It's kind of like the timer. All right, the second gripe that I have is this. You're probably gonna be like livid when I say this because of other things that I've said about Superman in the past. I actually was a little bit disappointed that we didn't get more of Superman, like being really, really powerful. Like he lost most of his fights, and now they established why at the beginning because it was the first fight he ever lost at the very beginning, and so this is him trying to figure out this new. So I get that. But like the scene when Luthor sends all those things after him. I forget what he's called.
The Raptors?
Yeah, and he says, kill them. And he says, yeah, good luck with that. I was like, oh. And then he goes up and does the vision. But then that doesn't last very long. And then his clone comes. And then he kills his clone and he does it break. It was really cool how he like broke his arm and then put it back in place. But I wish there would have...
I'm not messing around. I'm doing really important stuff.
Yeah. I wish that scene would have lasted longer and been a little bit more like showing actually what Superman is capable of, like, because we didn't get as much of that in the movie. Because at that point I was like, yes, now I feel like we have earned seeing him kick a lot of butt. And that scene didn't last very long. And I was getting really amped up. I was like, this is sweet. Like when he did the heat vision and spun around, that was amazing.
Yeah.
I wish that scene would have been like another 2 to 5 minutes longer of him. Maybe 5 is too long, but like just wrecking people. Kind of like the Avengers whenever Captain says Hulk smash and like they just show Hulk just like jumping and they show all the characters, you know.
It's like a sufficient celebratory moment before things kind of overwhelm them again. Yeah. I get what you mean. I'm actually not that mad at that because, first of all, I see why you would think I would be, because all these conversations we've had leading up to this have been how, like, he's too powerful, and then now you're like, he wasn't powerful enough. Like, but I get what you're not really saying that, and I get it, and I agree. I actually told someone that I work with the other day, I was like, to me, what I think we should have seen. You see a lot of superhero movies do this, you know, or like action movies in general. You get typically at the beginning, you get a good grasp of like them fighting like everyday crime. We never saw like someone like point a gun at him and shoot him and the bullet bounce off. We never saw him like easily wrap up like a low level villain. Like we never saw that. So we start the movie with him falling from the sky, having gotten his butt kicked off screen. We start with him getting defeated, and then he goes back and fights him again and kind of gets beaten again, just not as badly, and then he takes off. And then, he fights the kaiju, the big monster kaiju, and the Justice Gang has to come in and help. He doesn't wrap that up on his own. We never see him even touch the interdimensional imp that the Justice Gang fights. The clone at the end, again, he's kind of getting his butt kicked until Krypto gets rid of the cameras. And so then even after that, like you said, he fights the Raptors and there's no cameras anymore, but the clone comes back and tackles him again. And you really don't even get enough time to revel in the like awesomeness of him having beaten all those dudes that are hyped up to be pretty powerful. Like that would have been cool. I agree with you actually on that completely.
Like there was a scene in Superman Returns, pretty iconic, where a guy shoots him and it shows the bullet
in his eye.
Yeah. Like that. I was hoping that at that point we were going to see stuff like that.
Yeah.
And where people are just like, oh my gosh, this guy's going to destroy me.
Yeah. I fully agree with, like, I also agree with what you said. The whole beginning part of it, I didn't love that we didn't see it, but I got it. Because James Gunn's whole thing was he didn't want to start with any kind of origin. He wanted to just drop us in, and he did. I didn't love it, but I thought it was okay. I think for my first time seeing the movie, I didn't love it. And for this being the new beginning of the DC, like, U or whatever we're calling it, I didn't love it. But, like, in time, like 5 years down the road, you know, God willing, we're all still here and watching movies and doing podcasts, but, you know, I'll probably look back and be like, man, when I go back to watch Superman, I'm glad I don't have to sit through an origin. Like I just get dropped into the movie.
Yeah.
So like I think it'll work well in time, but like right now I didn't love that. And I think it took away from like the buildup of seeing him do some of this stuff. But I will agree with you as far as like when it does happen, you feel like he earned it because he got his butt kicked so many times. And then I also agree that after it happened, they really undercut it too quickly by him getting tackled away by his clone and that fight sparking back up. But I'll throw in a gripe. I know you've got
one more.
I know you got another one, but I'm gonna. Can we?
Yeah.
We'll go back and forth a little because so far I haven't thrown one in, and I feel like I'm only defending the movie. So one that I had was also in the scene where he's captured in the glass case with Metamorpho or whatever. I hope I'm not butchering that, but I think that's his name. They established that right across the thing, there's another glass case with a Luthor core guard, I guess one of those raptors or something, holding Metamorpho's son. Obviously, like as a bit of leverage of like, you better do what we're telling you or your son's going to get hurt or killed or something. And that's why he does the Kryptonite thing. And then Luthor comes through, does the whole Russian roulette interview thing with the guy, kills him in front of Superman, and it really upsets Metamorpho as well. And Superman had already told him, like, I can go save your son. Well, after that whole thing, and the guy like has a change of heart, and he's like, you said you could save my son, right? And he turns his hand from Kryptonite back into just his regular weird hand. Superman's not healing. And he realizes, oh, well, I need the sun. Like, I can't just heal. I need the sun. So the guy starts like forming the sun between his hands. And it took a minute to do, like, it wasn't like instantaneous.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to the guard with his son being like, hey, if you see anything,
Yeah.
He never did anything.
I know. I thought that too.
And again, see, to me, I actually have more of a problem with that than Lex not killing Superman, mainly because that kid had nothing to do with the movie. If you kill that kid, nothing changes with the movie other than that kid died, and maybe actually gives Metamorpho more of a reason to flip sides and join the good guys. But like instead, the guy was just, I guess, like, well, we need a baby for Superman to hold while he fights through this interdimensional like landscape to get back home. I was like, what? I didn't like that. I didn't like that. That made no sense to me. I was like, what was the point? I mean, at that point, you should have just said, like, we have a guy. He clearly had a wife or girlfriend or something because he's sitting with her later in the movie watching the news when the countries are about to go to war. Lex could have just been like, we have a guy trained on your wife, and if we get any word that you're doing anything, and then just play it out where, like, they do it really quick, or like they get the jump on the guards somehow and they don't have time. At least that would have made more sense. But like having him right across the thing, watching them, he's like,
yeah,
pretty.
Yeah.
I didn't like that.
I agree. I thought the same thing. Last gripe of mine, and then you can just go on your tangent of gripes.
I don't really have one. Like
a tangent?
Yeah, I don't have a tangent. I might have other gripes.
I love tangerines. They're my favorite fruit.
They're my favorite fruit.
Okay. I thought you were going to say more. My last gripe, this might be unpopular. I don't know. I was rolling my eyes when Supergirl showed up at the very end. I despise Supergirl, Batgirl, Spider-Woman, all of the carbon copies of male superheroes just because they're male superheroes. Like, I've always hated that. There's no male version of Black Widow. There's no anyway. It's.
I mean, there is.
There is in the comics.
You could argue any male like agent without superpower. Like
no, that's totally not the same thing. You are literally the same exact superhero, except you're a different gender. It's Supergirl. She's named the same thing.
I mean, what makes Black Widow Black Widow? She has no powers. She's got that name, but that's just a nickname.
There's no comic lines where there's like a male Black Widow who's the same exact character, just a male version. There's no male Wonder Woman. There's no, you can make the same argument.
Well, there is a male Wonder Woman. It's Superman. It is. I mean,
that's a totally different thing. Wonder Woman is her own superhero. Superman and Wonder Woman, they're completely different characters. They're their own thing.
They're both really strong and fly.
They're completely different. They're two totally different characters. If they weren't, why would there be a Supergirl?
Well, she's from Krypton.
You obviously know what I'm getting at here.
I know what you're saying, but I'm just saying. I mean,
there's no male Wonder Woman comics. There's no male version of any female superheroes. It's just anyway. I've always hated that, and they made it 20 times worse by making her some drunk party girl who's coming in like stumbling, and the dog is hers, and she's like, thanks to my dog. That whole thing was like, what? Are you kidding me? And now they announced that they're making a Supergirl movie. I'm like, oh my god.
Well, that was announced way before. Like the casting, the movie, all of that has been.
I didn't even know that.
Oh yeah, that's been announced for a long, probably close to a year.
Was it just not known that she was going to be in the same universe?
Well, no, I mean, yeah, it's part of the DC universe. We all knew that. Now, I don't think anyone knew she was going to cameo in this movie, but yeah, I mean, she's the girl from House of the Dragon or whatever, the Game of Thrones spinoff. She's been cast for a long time. Everyone knew this was coming. I didn't know she was going to be in this movie. And I'm going to be honest with you, if I do have another gripe, especially in regards to that, I think a better way to end that movie would have been one of the two end credit scenes, which were really stupid.
Yeah.
And maybe make that the end credit scene, because at least then it feels more like a nod to what's coming. But like to end the movie with that surprise cameo, and then the 2 end credit scenes are him sitting on the moon with Krypto, which was cute but pointless.
Yeah.
And then him looking at the broken buildings being like a little askew when everything formed back together. I thought that I hated that. Everything about that scene actually made me cringe. I hated the fact that they were like overanalyzing it. I don't know if that was supposed to be like a poke at like people like us and like people online who were like nitpicking this movie to death over every little thing. And he's like, we literally saved the world, but I'm looking at this building and it's a little off. So I'm going to like, I don't know if that's what it was, but I didn't, even if it was or wasn't, I didn't like it. I didn't think it was clever. I didn't think it was funny. I didn't think it was cute. It felt very awkward and stiff, like him talking to Mr. Terrific. That was like one of the most awkward bits of acting in the whole thing.
Yeah.
I hated that. And I would have much rather there either be one post-credit scene or at least one of those 2 be taken out and that be the post-credit scene rather than that. That really felt pointless. I really hated that. And I had to sit through it twice.
Yeah.
I know James Gunn likes to do funny little quirky, like Guardians 2 had like 7 post-credit scenes or whatever. I get it. But that one was a little more, there were some and kind of important ones thrown in with the stupid, silly ones.
Yeah.
And even at that, you got 7 of them. Like, you know, it's a little different to only have the 2 and they both be pointless.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, dude. Like, just don't do them then. Just be like, there's no post-credit scene. Okay, I can live with that. I mean, I don't like it. I've grown to really like the post-credit scene because for me, it shows me a little confidence in like what you've got coming.
Yeah.
I don't like these silly little, this has nothing to do with anything, throwaway. I liked it the first time I saw it, which was Spider-Man Homecoming, when throughout the movie, they kept alluding to the Captain America like films they were showing in school where he was like, so you want to learn how to play dodgeball or whatever. And so at the end of the movie, one of the post-credit scenes is him being like, so, it's stuff, it was like him talking about patience and how sometimes you're patient and it leads to nothing. I thought that was really clever. It was really funny. Other than that, I've never seen like a dumb throwaway one where I was like, I'm glad that was in there.
Maybe what about the Avengers where they're finally eating at that place?
I never cared about that.
Yeah.
I've never cared about that. The like, shawarma place.
Like you wish they wouldn't have even included it.
I'm not like mad at it, but I don't see the purpose.
Well, I would mostly agree, but I didn't feel ripped off. I felt ripped off with the Superman post credits one. But the reason I didn't with the Avengers one is because they made a comment about it in the movie. So it at least tied into something. I was like, okay, that's kind of funny.
That is true. And I will say, at least, here's the difference. The Avengers was kind of like a bookend to the first phase of Marvel.
That's true.
Whereas Superman is the beginning of a whole new thing.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
And you gave us nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing to look forward to. You did, but it was your ending of your, like, just let that be the ending then. Okay, she comes in. All right, yeah, Supergirl's coming. All right, cool.
Yeah.
The end. I don't need anything else.
Yeah.
But
you could have even had it end where he's looking at the video of his farm parents and smiling, and then Supergirl comes in and interrupts that, and that's the post-credit scene.
And honestly, to me, I'm one of those, like, well, I say this. I'm going to be a little hypocritical because I think I've been on record here saying that if I don't see and hear Dr. Doom in some way, shape, or form in Fantastic Four, I'm going to have a problem. But, caveat to that, in certain situations, less is more, right? I don't think if you wanted to depict Supergirl in her Supergirl debut movie as like a more immature, younger, like she's at a different place in life, like party girl kind of thing, all right, that's an interesting take because obviously by the end of it, she's going to have to learn and grow up and take some responsibility, whatever. I'm open to seeing what they do with it, but I don't think we need that for her intro cameo in a Superman movie. I don't even need to see her face. I don't need to see the full costume. I like what you're saying. Maybe he's laying down on that thing, watching the videos of his parents or whatever. And then you see like the camera's kind of like panning back and like down. And it's like kind of looking up at him in all the videos. And then you just hear boots on the ground and you're like, oh, holy crap. Who's in here with him? Who's in here with him? And then you just hear a girl's voice say, hey, what are you doing? Cuz or cousin or whatever. So you know who it is. And maybe you see like, just like as she walks into frame, like the hem of the skirt, the boot, and maybe the cape kind of flutters over the camera, cut to black. Like, I don't need to see the whole costume. I don't need to see her stumble in drunk. I don't need to know about her personality. I just need to be like, holy crap, Supergirl's here. Holy crap, that's cool. Like, the end. Don't give me too much, because now I'll put it like this. I'll use you as the example. You have a very strong opinion on how they introed her. You're going to have a certain way of looking. Even if that movie gets like a great rollout, you're not going to look forward to that movie at all.
No, I'm not even going to go see it.
And I was going to say, clearly, you're not a fan of the character at all, even existing. But
no, none of them.
I think that a lot of people that maybe aren't as solid on that line of like no females could be superheroes.
I never said that. I'm talking about carbon copies of male superheroes. It's just tokenism is all it is. Got to have our token female version. But there's none of that with female characters. Like, just do like what they're basically saying is women can't stand on their own. They have to copy men in order to be worth anything in a story, which is a slight to women, honestly. But
regardless, I'm just saying, people who aren't as solid on that line, I think, will now already go into that with like a bias of how they feel about her without having seen her own movie because of how you introed her in this.
Yeah.
Like,
I totally agree.
I don't know. That was another gripe of mine, actually, that I told you that day, right after we saw that. I was like, that should have been the end credit scene. That should have been the end
I agree
scene.
with that. It would have been better as an end credit scene, but it's still. And I totally agree. Like, I might have even had a little bit more less strong opinions, because seeing her, it's like, all right, first off, you're bringing Supergirl in. I despised her as a character, as an idea. And now she's this drunk party girl? Like, what?
Yeah,
that kind of ruins Superman's image in a way, because he's this like Boy Scout. You know, what it does is it makes Superman look like. I don't even know. I kind of lost my train of thought there. I got a little lightheaded.
I mean, I get it. I get it, and I don't disagree. I think it's a weird. I as little as I've read of Superman, I've read less of Supergirl. I don't think I've ever picked up a Supergirl comic or watched a Superman or Supergirl show or movie or whatever. I mean, I've never really. So I can't say much about her. But I don't know that I've ever seen her portrayed as like a immature, like party. I go to other planets just so I can get drunk kind of person. I don't know. Maybe that is her thing. I don't know. Maybe her story is always that she's, because of the like path that Superman has set, she's been able to like have it a little easier. Maybe that's the story there, and like she has to grow in her own right. I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell. That one.
We're kind of we only got like 12 to 12-ish minutes left. So
12 to 12-ish?
12 to 12-ish.
Okay. That's almost 12.
I know. But I want to make sure you have enough time to get all your gripes out that you want to get out.
I mean, like I said, I don't have too many like specific ones. I said earlier that something we talked about led into a gripe for me, and that was when we were talking about the scene with Clark and Lois, the interview thing, and she's like, I knew this wouldn't work out, and he's like, what do you mean, and blah, 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 and then he leaves. And what I meant when I said that led into kind of one of my gripes is I don't love the fact that the scene that ended up kind of being one of the most like heartfelt, touching scenes was when he comes into his apartment and she made him the cocoa and they were talking and all that. You later find out that she was there to dump him. I didn't love that, because to me, that kind of took her character down a notch for me, because like she was portrayed as a lot more like, I don't want to say mature, realistic. She was portrayed as a lot more realistic because she grew up on Earth. She knows how humans are. And like, that was her whole point to Superman is like, you don't you trust everybody and you can't. And that kept coming up. When she was talking to Green Lantern, he was like, yeah, the hypno glasses. Yeah. Oh, so he's Clark Kent. And she's like, why does he tell everyone everything? Like, yeah. And like, it kept coming up and it was funny and it was cute. But like, then you find out later she was going to dump him. And it's like, why? I mean, you knew all of that about him, presumably before y'all were dating. So it's not news to you. Y'all had a little tiff, but like, it wasn't like a knockdown, drag out fight. I mean, maybe some feelings were kind of hurt, but like, it just didn't feel anything breakup worthy. And I get that they were, I guess, trying to portray her as like this, like cold, I roll solo. Like I kind of knew this wouldn't work because relationships don't work kind of thing. But I don't know. I didn't like that. It kind of really kind of undercut the whole dynamic of their relationship for me. It was a little bit saved by the end because A, they never did break up. B, she went to go save him. And C, the final shot, or one of the final shots of the movie after the whole day is saved and everything, and they walk off to go get interviewed or whatever, and he like holds her and they kiss and they like slowly fly up, turning. That's probably one of the most, that will go down, like in 20 years we'll look back and that'll be like an iconic shot. Like that is iconic Superman imagery, just holding Lois and like slowly floating up, turning. That is, man, that was such a good shot.
Yeah.
And done practically, by the way. Cables and wires. Gotta love it. Old school. But so that was a gripe for me. The whole her wanting to break up with him over that was kind of stupid.
I actually really liked that, but
why?
Because I didn't think that they were portraying her as this cold I fly solo thing. I think what they were this is what I thought they were trying to show, was that she actually felt insecure around him because of how much he cares about people. And she it felt to me like there's a part of that she wished she had that. And so like when she said, I knew this would never work, that told me she has been feeling this way for some time. So it's not like she just was breaking up over that one fight. And the fact that she actually didn't break up, like after that scene when he talks, when he says he's going to go rescue the dog, and she realizes, oh, that's why I love him. I think that made it even more powerful. It's like she's like, it's a struggle. It's like I can't relate to this guy, but I also love him because of how much he cares about people. And so, yeah, I liked it, but I could see why you felt that way too. I mean, I understand your points.
Well, like I said, it was kind of saved, but I didn't like that in the moment. Like when it gets revealed that that's what she was going there to do, because like that scene really hit for me when the whole maybe that's the real punk rock, and then the dog thing, and like that scene was so impactful to me that like 15-20 minutes later you find out she was going there to dump him. I was like,
I see that makes the scene more powerful to me though, because he won her over.
I get your point. I want so badly to do to you what you did to me earlier. Like they should have explained that better, but I'm not.
But I would give that to you. They could have explained that better.
Well, but to my point from earlier, like I mean, sometimes you got to go off some implications of like their actions, and like you read between the lines. And I'll give you that. I didn't take from it that, but I could see that. So I can give them that. And like I said, it was saved by the end. So I mean, it was whatever, but that was a gripe. As much as I did love Jimmy Olsen in this, it was a little ridiculous that he's just like a womanizer in this thing. That was a little weird.
Which one is he?
Jimmy, the other reporter that works with him, the young guy, and like every woman was like in love with him.
I thought it was just that one girl who was in love with him.
No, you don't remember the scene of like the two girl like mail.
Yeah,
they were like taking mail to desk, and they were like, "Oh look," and it's Jim, and they're giggling, and he's just like, "Hi," and they're like, like I was just like, "What?" Like Jimmy Olsen is like classically portrayed as kind of just like just a dude, like not necessarily like a nerdy nobody, but like he's really not that big of a deal. But like in this, he's like every woman's in love with him. was like, oh my God. He literally has Eve saved in his phone as mutant toes. And so he's like, does not like her at all, but manipulates her through his knowing of how obsessed she is with him to get information. And then by the end, we're supposed to find it sweet whenever everything's saved and she runs out of the thing and hugs him and he just smiles. I'm like, no. I'm not going to forget all that other stuff. What are you talking about? Like, no, you manipulated a poor woman who was in an abusive relationship because you know she's obsessed with you. Like okay, yeah. Whatever.
I'll give you that one.
And lastly, God, what was that last thing I was going to say? It was in relation to, I want to say to something specific to Superman, like the character. Cannot remember. But like I said, I didn't have a ton of gripes. All in all, it was a fun movie. I think if we had done this review right after we watched it, I would have probably had a much different review of it. As I sat with it and the kind of quick like high of a new movie wore off, I kind of realized it was good. It was good. Like I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'd say I lean more towards liking it than disliking it. But like, I don't think this is one. Like, there are certain movies that like I could go watch them in the theater and then like a week later I'm like, I got to go see that again.
Yeah.
And this is not one of those for me. I'm definitely going to watch it again at some point. It was fun. Had some heart in it. Had some humor in it. Great cinematography. It was like I said, it was a great intro to this universe. But like, so was Iron Man. And I don't go back and watch Iron Man a whole lot. Like, it's a good movie, but it's not like my favorite MCU movie.
Yeah.
The MCU kind of had to find its footing. And I think right around Avengers 1 is where they really started to find their footing. And from Avengers 1 to, the next few years, that's typically movies in that stretch are the ones I find myself going back to rewatch a lot. Guardians 1, Avengers 2, Captain America 2, things like that.
Dude, I recently watched Winter Soldier again. I forgot how good it is.
It's probably I feel confident saying it's my favorite MCU movie. It's always been top 3, always. But I feel confident saying it's probably my favorite at this point. It's by far the one I've rewatched the most. Like the most. I watch it all the time. I love that one. Great action, great tone. It was so good, man. But so yeah, as far as Superman goes, if I'm giving it like I'm not going to do stars. Let's do like out of 10, like a score. I would give it, I'm comfortable giving it like a solid 7.5.
I was going to say 7.
Yeah, 7.5, somewhere in there. Like the reason I give it the half is just because like I feel like the score of the movie itself gives it that half point.
And the cinematography.
And the way it was shot, like I'm
like cinematography is 10 out of 10 in this movie.
Yeah, it was the flights. Oh my gosh, the flying. Woo!
Just the bright colors. There's a place for dark and gritty, but especially since that's been a thing for so long.
It was refreshing.
It was so refreshing.
So I mean, like I said, it's better than middling, but it's far from perfect. Great introduction. We'll eventually watch it again, but don't need to see it again in theaters. But yeah, 7.5. I'm comfortable there. I could hear an argument for anything down to like a 6 or anything up to like an 8. But if you start getting down into the 5s or up into the like 9s or 10s, I'm going to be like, you're a little biased, or you're just a huge Superman fan or a complete Superman hater. Like, to me, this movie is like that sweet spot is like the 6, 7, 8, like somewhere in there.
I think if you're a big Superman fan, you probably loved this movie.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like if that's always been your guy, you're probably at a 8 to 9 or maybe even 10 on this. I don't know. Or I will say if you're just a huge James Gunn fan, because this movie was unapologetically James Gunn.
Yeah,
the music, the way it was shot, the way the fights were choreographed, the humor in it, very James Gunn. So I could see you being really high on it if you're just a diehard Superman or diehard James Gunn fan. But for me, as someone who just enjoys both, I feel good like 7.5. So you said you're at 7?
7.
So yeah, Superman out now in theaters, probably going to be out for probably close to another month. If you guys have seen it, please leave a comment on YouTube, Spotify. Let us know what you thought about it. Do you agree with us? Disagree with us? Did you hate us for our gripes? Love us for our gripes?
And also let Chris know why he's wrong.
Please.
Don't just tell him
someone
he is.
explain it to me, because I don't think I ever am, ever.
We know Chris.
but no, please let us know what you thought about it. Feel free to comment what you want us to talk about next. Obviously, here very, very, very soon, Fantastic Four.
Week. Next week, we're going to see it.
The embargo was moved up.
What does that mean?
People who have already seen it, critics who have already seen it, the embargo was lifted already. Like it.
What does embargo mean?
So an embargo is like a thing that the studio puts out saying that like you can't talk about this movie up until like typically you'll see it maybe like a few days before the movie comes out. You'll start seeing reviews, but like they moved it up to where yesterday, so over a week before the movie came out, people were like dropping reviews on Twitter and stuff. Nothing spoilery, but just like it looked amazing. The one I saw was like visually amazing. The core group is stunning. They work great together. Ben Grimm, whoever the guy is that plays Ben Grimm, brings the heart. Just on and on, praise after praise after praise. Nothing was like, like it was like all good. So like basically the reason I bring it up is because when you see a studio move it up that much, they're typically very confident in what they're about to put out. So literally that review ended with, this was one of Marvel's bests. So I'm expecting a lot.
All right.
So that'll be coming up soon.
Excited.
So I hope you guys are looking forward to that. And in the meantime, please, like he said earlier, like, subscribe, comment, share, do everything you can to get it around to people you know, people you love, people you don't love, to annoy them. We're pretty annoying.
That's true.
Just anything you can do to get more attention on it, we'd appreciate. We've seen a little steady increase in listeners and a little bit of subscribers. Shout out to my buddy Randall at work who gave us a new subscription. Appreciate it. I don't like pressuring any of my family or friends into subscribing or listening to it, but when it comes up in conversation,
that's why we don't make money doing this.
Well, I know if I just really gave it, George, I'm not very intimidating. I just don't feel like it would work. I'd need you in like a suit with sunglasses standing behind me with your arms crossed. They'd be like, what is he going to do? Like, all right, yeah, I'll subscribe. But yeah, seriously, we appreciate everyone who's been supporting us. Like we keep saying, we want to do more of this. And that's how it'll become a reality. So please continue to like it, share it, and talk to us and about us. And until next time, we love you.
Bye.
Okay, bye.